I feel like I have ants in my pants. Hey everyone, welcome back to the beautiful outdoors. And today I have a recommendations video for you, and this is specifically for the bingo challenge. And for those of you who do not know, this is a yearly reading challenge that is hosted by the r/fantasy subreddit. This happens from I think now April to March of every year, and you can participate, and people put up these recommendations videos. And yeah, this consists of 25 reading prompts, and each prompt has a hard mode, which is just like an extra rule if you want to make the experience a bit more challenging. And yeah, you don't have to feel the entire thing. I have done it a couple times. It's really fun, and yeah, let's just get into it. So these are 25, so I will try to be brief with the book descriptions. And so the first row starts with a book featuring a trans or non-binary main character. And for that, I will start with Psalm of the Wild Build. This is a very short novella by Becky Chambers about a monk that just goes around the land preparing tea for people, being kind of a psychologist, and their friendship with a robot. And the next recommendation is Cemetery Boys by Adrian Thomas. He is a trans author, I think, and the main character is also a trans boy in a Latino family in the United States. This is a YA kind of supernatural fantasy or urban fantasy where this main character becomes friends with another boy, and they need to discover solve a mystery, and it's involving ghosts and the Mexican celebration of Day of the Dead. So yeah, this is the first one. Then the second one is Judge by the Title. So you're meant to just read it without knowing anything. And I have two for these, and both I guess could be hard mode. So I will not talk about the books. So the first one is This Is How You Lose the Time War, which is a fantastic title, super poetic. I think it sounds so epic. And the second one is I Who Have Never Known Men. The third prompt is a translated work, and for that I have You Glow in the Dark, which is a speculative and maybe sci-fi short story anthology by a Bolivian writer. So this is a book in translation from Spanish. And then the next one is Tender is the Flesh. This is by Argentinian author, I forgot her name, but this is a dystopian kind of near future sci-fi where meat from animals is poisonous, and so people need to stop eating that, and instead they decide to start making factories for producing human meat. It's a very, very controversial story. I think a lot of people really like it, some people really hate it, and it's very gruesome, but I thought it was very intentional. And yeah, I think the ending was shocking and really, really good. And the next one is a book by a small press or self-published. And I have two small press recommendations. And the first one is 10 Planets, and this is by Grey Wolf Press. This is a short story anthology by a Mexican author, so this is actually also in translation, so it fits for the previous prompt. And this one is actually not just short fictions, but like extra short fiction. I think they call it like flash fiction, is that what it's called? So each short story is literally like a page or like a page and a half, and this book is actually quite small, so they are like barely a story, each of them. And then the next one is a book I just mentioned, so You Glow in the Dark, and this is by Akoya Publishing. And yeah, this is also an indie publisher. The next one is Unusual Transportation. And for that, I will recommend the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. And this trilogy actually counts for hard mode. And this is a story about a fantasy world where families basically do trade by sea, and these families, at least some of the most, I guess, important families in terms of like power and trade, they have something that is called a live ship, and that is a ship that after it's been on the family for a couple generations becomes alive. So the ships are literally alive, and the trilogy has to do with the power struggles and family dynamics. It's an epic tale, and it's so good. I would highly recommend this. So let's move on to the next one, The Afterlife. And this is a story that has to do with like spirits and ghosts, and obviously I just mentioned Cemetery Boys, so this fits, and it's actually also counts for the hard mode. So I will just continue to the next one, which is Game Changer, which has to do with have like a story having a competition or some kind of games. And for that I have two recommendations. The first one is the Hunger Games. If you haven't read this, Battle Royale would also count for this, though yeah, I guess that is also a competition. So both of those stories work for hard mode actually. And then a half recommendation is Blood Over Brighthaven by ML Wang. Yeah, that's her name. Blood Over Brighthaven is a story featuring a school test, I guess. And the main character is a woman who is taking this test to become the first like high mage in this city. And this is very important to her because she would be like the first mage to woman to become this type of mage. And magic in this world is really important because the city is protected through magic with this dome. And outside of the city, there is this kind of plague or just phenomena called, maybe it is called a plague, I don't remember, where living things just like burst into fire and obviously die. So this city has become kind of a haven, and the story deals with colonization and like the use of resources, but also like racism within a civilization and revolution. Obviously, there's a lot of like fighting against the patriarchy in this. The next one is vacation spots, and this is anywhere that you would like to have a vacation in. I don't know what kind of place you would like to have a vacation in, but I wrote Discworld just because it's such a crazy place to be. And this is a really big collection of novels. Some of them are connected, some of them are just like standalones, part of this world, by British author Terry Pratchett. And the whole kind of premise of this world is that the world is flat. That's why it's called Discworld. And the world, like this disc, lies on top of 4 elephants that are on top of a turtle flying through space. So it's obviously ridiculous, and this is a lot of like comedy and absurdism. But something that I loved about Terry Pratchett is that he has a way to talk about topics that are important and feel relevant for society and like history and our even modern day. Very important. But he does it in a way that's like witty and really funny and just hilarious and very smart. And I think that's really cool. And I think like a lot of the fantasy and sci-fi worlds that I have read would be quite deadly. So I don't feel like I want a vacation in any of those. So I don't know, this world just felt perfect. Yeah, so let's just continue. Number 9 is short stories. So obviously there's like a million short story collections and anthologies, but I will just recommend 2 in particular. The first one is New Suns, and this is a sci-fi short story collection by BIPOC authors. And then the other one is Exhalation, but by Ted Chiang. This is a collection, also a blend, but mostly maybe sci-fi. 2 of like the best sci-fi / fantasy, but mostly sci-fi short story collections, anthologies that I've read. So there you go. The next one is Older Protagonist, and this needs to be a protagonist over 60, I think. And for that, I have the book called Six Wakes. I forgot the name of the author, but this is a sci-fi murder mystery that follows clones that wake up in a spaceship. They don't know why they woke up early. This crew just wakes up and like their previous clones are all dead around them. And because they're like in this spaceship, it needs to be one of them who committed the crime. So yeah, it's kind of like a closed door murder mystery in space. Really fun, and because they are clones, they have lived like thousands of years, or like most of them have lived multiple lives. Yeah, so that's that. Then number 11 is a duology, and for that I have a bunch of them, so I will just start with a couple. We have The City We Became. This is the first book in the Great Cities duology by N.K. Jemisin, and this is about New York City having each of its boroughs has like a person that basically represents the entire borough, both like in personality, but like they draw power from the borough and like the people living there. And these avatars, or whatever you want to call them, need to fight this kind of otherworldly invasion. So there's a bit of like urban fantasy, a bit of like Lovecraftian horror, but it's very light. So that is one. Another one is a memory called Empire. I forgot the duology is called like Taxicalian or something duology, and this is a sci-fi. This is about an ambassador that lives in this kind of space station, orbiting or very close to a planet where like this empire is based, and she is sent to the empire to replace basically her predecessor. But this guy died with like weird circumstances, so unfortunately she should have gotten like all of his memories and like information and history and like everything that previous ambassadors have done in the relationship between the space station and the empire should have been transferred to her. She is a bit like walking on her own, trying to understand like the political situation, and like people are lying to her, but she needs to deal with this and possible uprising. And another one is The Parable of the Sower. This is the first book in Octavia E. Butler's Earth Sea duology. I have talked a bit about this in previous videos, so I will just post some videos about that. Let's continue because there's a lot left. Number 12 is a book that was picked for a book club. So this r/fantasy subreddit hosts a book club every month, I think. And so you just need to read a book in their list. It's huge. And for that, I have a recommendation, and this is Her Body and Other Parties. This is a horror and speculative short story collection by Carmen Maria Machado. And this is a collection that obviously has a lot to do with relationship between people and their bodies, and especially like female bodies. And it's quite beautiful, but also it has like some really tough stories in there. Yeah, I don't know. I think it feels really relevant. I think it's a really interesting voice in this space, and yeah, I really liked it. So the next one is a book published in 2026, and I have not read anything. So this is the only recommendation where it's not based on something I have read. But I think from the releases that I know are coming out this year, the one that I am interested the most is Seasons of Glass and Iron, which is a short story collection by one of the authors of This Is How You Lose the Time War. And I will put her name here. But yeah, it just looks so good. And here I'm just gonna make a quick pause and say that if you are reading this, let me know by commenting a sun in the comments, because it's super sunny. I probably is gonna be really bad on the lighting, but it's amazing, so I just wanna be in the sun. So just let me know that you're here with a sun emoji. Number 14 is a book featuring explorers or rangers, and for that I have Black Leopard, Red Wolf. This is a story that is always kind of hard to describe, but it features a man that is hired to find a boy, and you're not exactly sure why he needs to find this boy or who this boy is. And the story starts by this main character telling the story to his captors. So it's also not told like in chronological order. It's a very unreliable narrator, but this world is so unique. Marlon James, who is the author, he's Jamaican, and he pulled a lot from African mythology to build this world. So it feels, in a way, very familiar, but at the same time, everything is kind of new and fresh, and things that I had never kind of read before. One of my favorite books of the recent 3 years. And one of the main characters, as I said, is a tracker. So I guess that counts. The next one, 15, it's Duology Part 2. So you can just pick any of the duologies that I have just mentioned. Number 16 is one word title. And so it's just books with a single word in their title. And for that, I will pick a couple. So the first one is Semiosis. Sorry. This is a first contact-ish sci-fi book where humans have, traveled in space and reached this planet that they are trying to inhabit. And in this planet, they build a relationship with a local tree/plant species that is quite sentient. And the last one is going to be Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This also counts for hard mode. And the story follows a woman that all of a sudden starts traveling back in time to the era of slavery in the United States. And she doesn't know why she's being thrown back in time to this very, very horrible place and time. It's a heart-wrenching story. I would recommend it, but it's tough. The next is a story with a non-human protagonist, and both of these recommendations count for hard mode. And the first one is The Deep by River Solomon, and this follows a race of people that come from the pregnant slaves that were thrown out of ships, and their babies were kind of born in the sea, and they become these kind of like merfolk, I think is the proper term. So this is a short story or a novella that obviously talks a lot about a bit of slavery, but mostly memory, actually, because the main character, she's in charge of holding the memory of her entire folk, her entire race. And this is obviously a history that is full of like violence and suffering and tragedy, and she needs to explore what it means to carry this on her own, basically. So it's really tough to read, but quite good. And then the other one is Legends and Lattes. This is completely different because it's quite cozy. This is maybe the book that like exploded cozy fantasy as we know it today. This is a story by Travis Baldry, I think, and it follows a woman. She's an orc, and she decides that she's done like fighting and being on quests and stuff, and she just wants to settle down and open a coffee shop in a small town where coffee doesn't exist, or at least people have never heard of coffee. So she's just opening a coffee shop, and she has to deal a bit with like bureaucracy and like being an outsider, and there's like a romance, sapphic romance in the story. So yeah, it was not really for me, but it's huge on BookTube and really popular, so you might like it. And the next one is going to be Middle Grade, a middle grade book, and for that I have two recommendations. The first one is The Alchemist by something Scott, and this is a long series. I think these are 6 books, but they're all again for middle grade, and they were great for me for like starting to read like longer books and like series, kind of how Percy Jackson was for other people. So this follows 2 twins that are thrown into this like epic adventure with like gods that live among us, and these are gods and creatures from all mythologies. So that is, I think, super cool. And there's this kind of whole legend about twins where one is going to save the world and the other is going to destroy it. So there's always this kind of push and pull in the story. And then the second one is City of the Beasts by Isabel Allende. This is a Chilean author, so this is a book in translation, or you can read it in translated. And it follows a young boy whose aunt is like an explorer, and she has been in these like crazy expeditions everywhere. And so he kind of picks up on that tradition. And in the first one in particular, he joins an expedition to the Amazon. And there's a bit of like magical realism and like speculative elements, but it's just mostly about a boy coming of age. Yeah, then we have First Contact stories, and Semiosis, as I talked about, obviously counts for this. And I will just add Children of Time, really popular. This is a story about humans who meet a civilization of spiders. It's super, super interesting to think how if spiders build human-like civilizations, what that would look like, and what does that mean for like commerce and like economy and communications even. It's so interesting. It's a bit long, but I thought it was amazing, and unfortunately I hated the rest, or I DNF'd this series because the second one was really bad. But each of the books in this series follows like different sentient animals who have been, or like whose evolution, I guess, has been accelerated by this virus. So if that sounds interesting, I think this one is amazing. And you can read it as a standalone. The next one is 20, so that's Murder Mystery. And Six Wakes, as I just talked about, counts for this. This actually is hard mode. And a memory called Empire also counts for this, so there you go. The next one is Cat Squasher, so this has to be a book that is over 500 pages. And for that, I will recommend the Spear Cuts Through Water. This is a story by Filipino author Simon Jimenez, and it follows two men that are, for reasons, like on a journey on the same direction. So one of them is trying to return to make a favor. Basically, he made a promise and he's trying to return a spear to someone on the other side of this country. And the other one is also traveling with someone, and I will not give it away. It's a bit of a hard story to discuss, but this slightly over 500, so it's perfect for this. And the prose is amazing, the world building is amazing. I will make a video about this because I've loved this book, but it just for this video I will just say that it counts. I would really recommend it. The next one is Feast Your Eyes on This, and it's a story that centers food, and for that I could only think about Legends and Lattes. As I said, drinking coffee is really important, so I mean, it's not technically food, but I guess it counts. The next one is published in the 70s, and for that Kindred counts as a hard mode, so that's perfect. So the next one is Political Intrigue, and for these, I mean, some of the biggest, like most known series work really well for these. The A Song of Ice and Fire, you've heard of that. Memory Called Empire, which I talked about, counts for hard mode, so that's great. Left Hand of Darkness has also political intrigue. Dune, I mean, you've heard of all of these, so I think, this one will be easy. And then the last one, Author of Color. I have a bunch that I could recommend, but I will focus in one that is a hard mode, and that is The Queue by Basma Abdel Aziz. And this is a Egyptian author. And the book is translated from Arabic. And it follows a kind of utopic or dystopic city where after an uprising, the city decides to build this gate, and citizens need to ask for permission for basically anything. And that includes, for instance, like, and I think that is kind of the main thing of the story, there is this guy that has a bullet inside of them, and it needs to be removed, and he's dying basically, and even just like to ask for permission to like remove the bullet, people need to queue, and because everything is to be asked for permission, the queue is gigantic and nothing gets processed, or it's like super slow. So it's a bit of like a satire, political satire, but a lot of like commentary. So this hard mode. Another one, You Glow in the Dark, that I talked about, that also counts as hard mode. And Spirit Cuts Through Water is the other one that I just have in my mind because it's recent. And as I said, this is by a Filipino author. So I think that is everything. I think we've gone through all of them. I hope this it's not super long. Um, but let me know if you have any plans to read or like partake in the bingo challenge. If you've read any of these books, let me know what you thought about it. And yes, enjoy the spring and have a great day. Bye bye.